Welcome back, baseball fans, to the 1973-76 off-season look card set analysis. And we are in the 1974 box for the final installment, looking at the guys who we're going to keep. We've gone through the American League, half of the National League. We're going to begin in the intriguing Mountain Time Zone division, as we've got 8 more teams to look at, beginning with Arizona. Arizona will have Ed Herman, Daryl Knowles, Steve Stone, and Jim Willoughby. Now, Ed Herman, this of the 4 years is going to be his best year. And actually, it's pretty good. Power, left-handed hitting catcher, zero-arm catcher. He actually made an all-star game appearance. Only hit like 250, 259. But he went to the all-star game, so I'm sure this card will be selected. Daryl Knowles, this is a possibility. He's got 3 out of 4 good years. A lot of walks here. I don't like those walks. 4.25 ERA, that's pretty marginal. I think he's got better cards. Steve Stone will have a pretty flat performance for all 4 years. Here's the starter 6. 170 innings, nothing special. A jag, as we like to say. He's just a guy. And Jim Willoughby, as a relief starter, will eventually transition to just full-time reliever. This is unacceptable, the way righties knock him around mercilessly. So no, we're not going to take that card. But the Ed Herman card will be selected, which means they'll have to go find one more player out of the free agents and rookies. Okay. Next up, the Colorado Rockies. And for them, we are looking at Dick Drago, Dave Duncan, Joe Liss, and Ron Reed. This is a good year for Drago. Starter 7. Oh, look at him against righties. Doesn't pitch on 3 days rest anymore, but he pitches effectively, which is something Colorado can just cross their fingers about. They very seldom get any good pitching. And this guy's pretty good. Look at him against righties. And he's not that bad against lefties. So I think that's a reasonable card for Colorado to take. I mean, a better pitching quality team might pass on this, but pitching star of Colorado would certainly select it. Now, Dave Duncan has power and not much batting average, but he's got more batting average in 73. If you want the versatility of first and right field, I suppose you could use that, though I don't know why you would need that. He's just a 200 hitting catcher, and that's a large sample size to hit 200 with. Did it with Cleveland. I think had already finished up his tenure with the Oakland A's. Nothing special there at all, but it's a secondary card for him. Joe Liss has better years in 73 and 76 than this. However, of the 3 years he has available, and this being the worst of the 3, it ain't bad if you do a reverse platoon and want to get those 2 bangers right there. Homers on 5 and 6, on base on 7, 5, 6, and a 5. And even power and some walks over there. It's a 200 hitter. But, I mean, it's not awful for a team that prides itself on homers, walks, and strikeouts. Hey, he's a 3 at first base. So beggars can't be choosers. And again, that's probably going to be the third option for Liss. His better cards are 73 and 76. Which leaves us Ron Reed. One of his 2 nice cards in the timeline. Starter 7 only, no bullpen. No longer on 3 days rest, but a nice ERA of 3.39. He's an effective starter. The last year, he would be an effective starter 7. By 76, he's a dynamite reliever for the Phillies. Here he's with Atlanta still. So you got your choice. Make him start with this card, or send him to the bullpen. I think this team needs starting pitching. They're pretty bad. All right, next up, Vegas. Vegas is looking at Ken Berry, Ed Brinkman, Woody Fryman, Jim Lonborg. They're all available. Ken Berry has a better 73. Still the fantastic defense, though he's no longer a 1 in center. But the batting average starts to suffer. He's no longer hitting 280. He's hitting 240, so we'll go with the 73 year. Ed Brinkman's going to be a 2 at short. Probably want to look a little closer at the E rating. Look at all the power over here suddenly. 237 hitter, and now a 221 hitter. Not much difference, really. The better E rating you might want to select, or you might just want to take this card because of all that power versus lefties. Woody Fryman, 73 was a bad year for Woody. Then he comes back and rallies for decent years in 74, 5 and 6. Starter 6, relief 4. This is a nice little card. A 431, well, this is where you'd like to get him in the bullpen, where he's more effective against lefties and can mask the deficiencies over here. Yeah, the walks hurt, but that homer and a homer 1 and 9 hurt even more. You combine walks and homers, that's not a good scenario for a 431 ERA. So we'll see. We like Woody. Woody just had an ERA of 2.10. So we want to get him closer. You know, we have to be more ambitious with his card. And Lonborg has a really nice 74. Starter 8. He's a Philly. And look at this. 17-game winner. 283 innings. So it was no fluke when he had a nice 72 with the Brewers. And then he ends up with Philadelphia and continues the resurgence of his career that fizzled in the late 60s after his Rookie of the Year performance he had. Then he fizzled for a nice little stretch. Then he came back in the 70s. Nice card for Lonborg as a starter 8 for Vegas. So, yeah, I like that. I'd go Lonborg, Brinkman. And if you want Brinkman in the other year, you go Lonborg and maybe a free agent. And lastly, for Mountain Time Zone tonight will be Portland. And they're looking at Dick Bosman, Ray Corbin, Clay Kirby, Roger Nelson. It's not a very sparkling list. This team is probably going to stumble this year. Bosman's card is a starter 6. He's okay. I mean, if they're really stretched for 411 and 127 innings, he's a starter 6. Homers versus righties. Not a lot versus lefties. Could be a swing man. Just a guy. But if you're stuck, you take him. Ray Corbin's got a better 73. Here it's 530. So we want him in 73. That's not a good card for him. Clay Kirby. Is this the good year? Yeah, this is the good year. This is the Kirby one. This is going to be the last year he's this good. 74 for the Reds. 12 and 9, 327. Obviously, the Reds didn't make a lot of noise in 74, which is why you forget about Kirby, as he wasn't very good in 75 and 6. But 231 innings, 327 ERA, starter 7. I'd go with that. And Prince Rogers Nelson. Now, they made the trade for him after his incredible 72. 73 and 74, they're about the same. He's probably better suited to be a swingman, long reliever. No homers over there. You got some outs right there. You have a homer and a walk with it. That's a decent card. Slightly better than a Jag, I would say. So this is not a very glamorous list of keepers, but it's an expansion team. So Kirby's probably number 1. I'd go Nelson 2. And again, as far as keepers go, what happens if in the draft you find somebody better on waivers or as a free agent or on the rookie list? You don't have to draft these guys if you find something better, though it's probably a good idea to draft the guys you are keeping. Next up, we're going to get to the National League West. I'm going to take a little break and I'll be right back with that. Okay, way out in the National League West, we're going to begin with the Houston Astros. Houston is going to be moving into Cedeno, Larry Dierker, Johnny Edwards, Doug Rader. So Cedeno, 72 and 73 were awesome years. Now in 74, He's just a 269 hitter, does have plenty of power, but that average does drop like 60 points. He has got a -4 arm and center with all that speed and so forth. This is a fantastic card in its own right, but he's got a better card in 73. Durker misses 73 with an injury and comes back with his best card in 74. And he's back to pitching on 3 days rest with a 2.89 ERA and really dominates those right-handed. Look at that, no homers at all. Really dominates the righties. Yeah, he's susceptible to lefties, but you know, you gotta, if you can get a couple of lefties in your bullpen to help him out late in games into the 7th and 8th inning, that would, you know, that would work. But yeah, that's a heck of a nice card as he's getting up there in years. Johnny Edwards has a couple years left, 73 and 4. Probably thinks 73 is better. Oh yeah, 73 is much better. And this guy is pretty close to, again, being just a guy that you could take any left-handed catcher or any catcher really. And Doug Rader's, his is a flat performance through the whole timeline. Matter of fact, he had the exact same template in 72, the 1-2 homer card. It's going to be a 1 all 4 years. Hit maybe 20 home runs, 17. 17 and 257 average, that's fine. Again, all 4 years for him are about the same. So he brings flexibility. Let's say you're empty in one of the 4 years. Take Doug Rader in that empty season. And don't be overly concerned if 2 players are taken in 1 year and you're not concerned that you can't take Doug Rader in that one. That's that flexibility. All right, next up, the Dodgers. The Dodgers out west. It's going to be Jim Brewer, Mike Marshall, Phil Russell, Don Sutton. Brewer still has it in 73 and 74. However, he's starting to give up the long ball. Still low batting average for right-handed batters. That's what you love to see. Don't like to see the home runs suddenly emerge. Be careful how you use him. I'd probably go with 73 with less homers. All right, here we go. So here is this is Mike Marshall's 74 card. You're never going to see this ever again, folks. 208 innings and a 2.42 ERA, 15 and 12. You're like, that's a nice starter 7, right? Nope. Relief 4. I think he played in 106 games. Have to figure out a way of bending the rules, manipulating the rules to equate what he accomplished in 74. I might simply let him pitch in every game that I play and just say, well, I mean, I don't know. Otherwise, I don't know how to take advantage of the ridiculous number of innings he has here, because we have plenty of relief 4s in our sport. So he's not going to be able to duplicate those 208 innings conventionally. So you're going to have to figure out a strategy. So I'll have to work on this. I'll think about it in the off season. We've had workhorse relievers before. We had Rich Gossage led all relievers in innings pitched last year as a closer, which is very weird. Mostly a long man wins that. But that Marshall card will be taken. You got Bill Russell as a 3 shortstop. In one of these years, I think he's a 2 shortstop. I'd go with that. But he hits lefties better here with power. It's a fine card. You could take this card, 269, without a problem. But if you want the power, boom, you got it over there. And he's still good defensively left field, though I got to think you really don't want him out there anymore. They got plenty of outfielders by this point. It's a moot point to have that, that 2 won't be used. And Sutton, we have to replace the brilliant 72 card. There's no replacement for that. But he's in all years of the timeline, but we thought 73 is the best of the 4. Here his ERA jumps to 3.23, so I'm thinking probably not this year. This is also the 5 template. This is the 5th best ERA on the team when you go to the 5.10. The way that works is 4-4, 6-4, 5-4, and then 4-10, and then 5-10. This is the 5th best ERA of the 8 pitchers on the Dodgers. So, yeah, that's telling you that you've got better options. So, no to that downside. All right. We are going to go down the road, down I-5 to San Diego. The Padres. It's going to be Nate Colbert, Cito Gaston, Pete Reichert, Vicente Romo for the Padres. Nate Colbert, he's finally starting to lose it a little bit here. He's got the power still. He can still field. And he's a base stealer as well. But the average suddenly tanks. He's down to a 207 hitter here. Don't like to see that. He would work in a platoon, though. Though you think you can get better mileage out of him with a 73 card. Gaston, hitting 213. Yeah, I don't think so with this one. Power's there. Arm's there. A 3 range, but nothing special. Romo, just an average reliever. 456. And they don't have a card in 74 for Pete Reichert, so you have to use 73 Pete Reichert. This is not a good class. So this is a case where the team has to recognize they don't have good options in 1974, so maybe they look closely at the waivered players or a player coming out of retirement with a 74 card or whatever free agents or rookies are still out there. And maybe they're one of the first teams to go off the board in the year of 74 for a player we haven't seen before. I mean, that list is going to dwindle. The first few players are going to be really good, then it's going to drop off significantly. So the Padres might want to be one of the first teams to take a player from that year. That's not a keeper. And lastly, the Giants. Jim Barr, Ron Bryant, Juan Marichal, Chris Spire. So, Jim Barr. Oh, that's a nice card right there. 2.74 ERA on 3 days rest. He's a starter 8. Better against lefties and righties. Always like to see that. Look at lack of walks. It's only 47 walks, 240 innings. Nice control for Jim Barr. That's a keeper right there, folks. Ron Bryant. I think it's 73, right? Yeah, this is awful. 73, he wins 24 games. 74, he wins 3. Added together, it's 27. So he averages about 13, 14 wins a year. He just got 24 of them in 1973. So oots-nay on that one. Marichal, by the way, will be retired by now. So at 73, Marichal will be selected in his final year with the Giants, which leaves Chris Spire. He's going to be available in all 4 years of the timeline. He's a 2 shortstop. Always love to see that. It's almost impossible to pass on a 2 shortstop. He's hitting 250. It's not glamorous. Gonna have some power. Power against righties instead of lefties. That's nice. Has the walks to get on base against lefties at least. Yeah. So definitely prefer him as a 2 instead of a 3 if that can happen. He's got flexibility. We saw Doug Rader of Houston with flexibility. Spire's the same way. He has pretty flat performance. You're not going to find an outlier year that's significantly better than the rest. Which concludes the 1974 box. We can take a quick peek at some of the waived and retired players. Maybe these are retired players. Are they going to come out of retirement? Bob Miller might. 358. Grabarkowitz always draws walks. Jim Nettles has power. This is a really bad list. Klein, probably not. Larry Brown got a World Series ring with Oakland a year ago. Still hitting under 200. Joe Levito. Now he's a 3 in center field instead of a 2. Yeah. But, you know, Bob Miller might get taken out of retirement. And just a quick peek and see if anything pops on the waiver list. We mentioned the Padres. Might want to jump on the best guy on waivers. There's Maxwell, Stanley, Tom Hutton, Ted Martinez, a really bad Bill Stoneman, Cecil Upshaw, an ordinary Glenn Beckert, who was a Padre, but he's very ordinary. I wouldn't make him one of my first picks as a 256 hitter with no range and no power. Stan Bonson, Jack Akers, good. Yeah. All right, here's a guy, Bobby Tolan, and he's a Padre, so he had to move on from the Reds because of Griffey. That's not a bad card, folks. A 2-2, it's about 266. Worst case, you put him in a platoon, but that wouldn't be a bad player to take out of this card set for the Padres. A team that doesn't have good options in this year. Something to think about. Duke Sims, he's kind of lost it now. Mike Corkins, that's not a bad card. Also a Padre. So Padres can take their own guys. Not very good ERA. Terry Crowley, just nothing special. You got Joe Coleman, but it's not that good. 431. Eddie Kirkpatrick, versatility here. Lefty can hit lefties. That's a nice pick. McKellar. Danny Frizella's no longer as good as he once was. Blue Moon Odom's kind of lost it. This is why they're on waivers, guys. And they were put on waivers after 72. So this is 2 years removed from going on the waiver list. Killebrew, a shell of himself. Ron Woods, not much offense. Duffy Dyer, no. A lefty, Luke Walker, gets knocked around versus lefties. Mike Hegan got a World Series ring for Oakland. Homers and walks in defense. In a platoon. Not a bad card. Ken McMullen's a 3-and-out third with power, though. Look at the homers for Ken. He used to be a great defensive with limited power. He's got 3 homers and 60 at-bats, so you can play that advantage in a short sample. Manguel, nothing much. LaRon Lee, another, well, he was a Padre, now he's an Indian, and he's not very good. Sonny Siebert, he's getting up there, way up there in the age. He's only got 1 year left. That's a reasonable card. Jack Brohammer used to be a 2 at second, now he's a 4. That's really going to hurt his chances. No power or speed or whatnot. Rorik Harrison dropped off once he left Baltimore for Atlanta. Had to pitch in the little ballpark and back to Dale Maxwell. So there you go. There's some talent there. Not, of course, first round talent, but talent exists on the waiver list. Plus, of course, you still have. These are all the free agents that have yet to be in the league, and there's a lot of them. So you could find a diamond in the rough here, as this card set's only been open for, this is only the 3rd year it's been open. So that's it for the 1974 card box, and next week we'll begin the 1975 box. Thanks for checking this out. We'll see you then.